Hi friends, welcome to Raising Lifelong Learners. I'm your host, Colleen Kessler, and this is the podcast where I encourage you to trust yourself and your differently wired kiddos as you help cultivate their curiosity, encourage them to discover the world around them, embrace who they are wired to be, all while helping them discover their passions, interests, and raise them to become the amazing adults they're meant to be. Hey, welcome back. This is episode 247. I love this episode. I love talking about this topic, helping your family be a team, and all of the practical ways you can do that, but not just that, all of the benefits that it brings your family long term, your kids individually, and you as a whole. You're going to love this episode. There's so much to get out of it. But before we begin, I want to just a special shout out. Thank you to CTC Math, our season sponsors. We appreciate them so much. The support they give the homeschool community is tremendous and so valuable. Check them out at ctcmath.com. And super excited to tell you that my new book, The Homeschool Advantage, a child-focused approach to raising lifelong learners, is being released by my publisher Wiley in a couple weeks. July 30th is the official release date. You can pre-order it right now. You can go anywhere books are sold. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any bookseller, online or in person, and you can pre-order the book. Here's what I ask you. I'm going to remind you at the end of this episode, but hang on to your receipt, your digital receipt, or your in-person receipt if you order it in person, because in the next week or so, we will have a pre-order page that's filled with bonuses that you're not going to want to miss. And so you can go order it now. Pre-sale orders are huge for authors. They let booksellers know to stock the book. They let libraries know it's a book that's needed and wanted. So it's really, really helpful to pre-order the book. And I would appreciate it. That'd be amazing if you would do so. But because it's so important and because I want to encourage you to do it, I have this entire package of really cool and helpful to your homeschooling and your parenting resources that we're putting together that I haven't finished putting together yet. So within the next week or so, those will be available and up on the website. And I will be sharing far and wide about that page. So whenever you order the book, just hang on to your digital receipt because you're going to need to just type in your order number on that page to get the pre-order bonuses delivered to you. They're going to be worth it. So anyway, check out that book. I can't wait to share it with you. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. All right, let's get on with today's episode. All right, so if you have heard me speak before, or if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you know how passionate I am about helping you form a team within your family, really knowing your kids, having them support and love and care for each other, and that I express the importance of this all the time. So today I want to talk specifically about that idea of being a team, being a family team. And one of the reasons is because we're diving deeply into this concept in the Learners Lab this month. We recently had a masterclass in the lab that was all about the social and emotional and physical and developmental benefits that come from forming a team and a collaborative atmosphere in your family, which we're going to talk about on this podcast today. And we're diving even deeper. The kids are meeting this week to talk about what it means to be a family team and how they can facilitate that more within their own homes. And then we'll be doing some creative thinking exercises and some challenges throughout the month to form a deeper connection as a family. It's so important because the benefits to being a team, to having a deep family connection and a strong relationship with your parents, with each other, with your siblings, and just anybody that lives within your household has long-reaching impact. Some of those include emotional and psychological benefits. When our family is deeply connected, kids have emotional security. They have a sense of safety. They know that they are loved and supportive, which gives them the confidence to explore their world and face new challenges. It also strengthens their mental health. They are less likely to experience mental health issues like anxiety, depression, and loneliness. However, the caveat I want to say is
that for those of us with neurodivergent kids or who are neurodivergent ourselves, we already have a little bit of that anxiety and depression in our world, and we already feel a sense of like imposter syndrome and loneliness from time to time. And having a deep and strong family connection and family ties minimizes the negative effect of that and allows us to bounce back a little bit better, or at the very least know that we have someone that we can count on when we're feeling down about ourselves. And so it can serve as a buffer against stress and promote emotional well-being when we're strongly connected as a family. It also gives kids a sense of belonging. When they feel connected to their family, when there's a team-like atmosphere within the family, it fosters a sense of belonging and identity. And this foundation sense of belonging helps kids develop strong self-esteem and a positive self-image. In the world that we're living in, when kids are bombarded by media images and ideals of perfection, when we all know that there's no human being that is perfect, having a strong connection within your home and with your parents and your siblings will help overcome some of that uncertainty and those identity crises, or at least give them that soft place to land so they can come back and find and reattach themselves to that sense of belonging and that sense of identity. It also builds a strong connection within their child development. Cognitive and social skills are strengthened when we have deep family connections. When kids engage in meaningful conversations and activities with family members, it enhances their cognitive and their social skills because they learn to communicate effectively. They learn to solve problems. They learn to empathize with others. And they have that just strong foundation and good social skills modeled for them. It also strengthens their moral and ethical foundation because families play a crucial role in instilling values and ethics. When parents are actively and intentionally modeling and guiding their kids, they learn about respect, they learn about honesty and responsibility, and they internalize core values and morals and foundational ethics that we want them to have so that they can go into the world with a strong sense of foundational values and morals and tackle anything injustice-wise that comes their way. It also builds resilience. When we have a strong family support system, it teaches kids and adults effective coping skills. They are more able to develop coping mechanisms in dealing with life challenges. And this resilience is essential, right, for bouncing back from setbacks and stress, because we all know that stress and setbacks are going to happen. And when we work on that and we are constantly talking and solving problems within our home as a collective, our kids develop the skills to be able to do that when they leave us. It also teaches them adaptability, which goes hand in hand with resilience, because families that work together as a team are better able to adapt to changes, and they are able to navigate through big crises and small crises and big setbacks and little setbacks. And they're able to be more collaborative in their problem solving and give each other mutual support, which makes it easier to manage transitions and disruptives. It makes it easier to manage transitions and disruptions. It also fosters a positive home environment. A team-like atmosphere reduces conflicts and misunderstanding because we're more collaborative. We really want to know what the motivation is behind everything each member of our family does, says, or needs. And so when family members communicate openly and they support one another, the home environment is more harmonious and peaceful. And that's not to say that there's never any fights or squabbles. I mean, we have them here at our house all the time. But at the core, everybody wants what's best for everybody else. And so there's this underlying feeling of peace and harmony. It also fosters an environment of shared responsibility and ensures that the burden is reduced and not like held on to just one single family member. Because if you're a team, you know that everybody is important and everybody needs to contribute in some way so that the family system runs well. And this equitable distribution of tasks can foster cooperation, mutual respect, and then set our kids up for the future so that they're not bearing the whole burden of their future family, or they're able to communicate their needs better to their future spouse and be more collaborative in how they run their family. And then there's just long-term benefits like lifelong bonds. Strong family connections lay a foundation for lifelong relationships with siblings. I say all the time that my kids, hopefully, if the world works the way it's supposed to work, they'll have each other for longer than they'll have me. And I want them to have those strong lifelong bonds. I want them to know that their brothers or their sisters have their back, and they can always, even as grown adults, go back to their siblings for support. I want those lifelong relationships to be forged. I want those bonds to extend beyond immediate family. Because when you have a strong foundational support system, it's easier to make other friends and strong relationships outside of the home. It helps to create enriching social networks. It provides ongoing support throughout life and sets kids up for healthy relationships in the future, and then leaves a legacy of support and love. Families that prioritize deep connections and teamwork create this support system that can be passed down through generations. It's an enduring legacy that strengthens familial ties. It contributes to overall well-being of future generations. And sometimes that's hard. I know there are some of you out there listening that are like me. I lived in a household that was a little bit disruptive when I was young and grew up to be conscious breaker of cycles. And so I don't have that legacy of strong family ties and relationships that I can pass on to my kids. And so I'm intentionally forging that now so that my kids have each other and they can model healthy relationships for each other as well as for their own children as they grow and have families of their own, to keep that going generationally. And we can do all of this and set all of this up by being a team as a family. Okay, so what do strong team-like families look like? Families who are collaborative and connected and foster a team-like atmosphere within their homes. They have shared goals and values. They have a unified vision of what they are setting out to accomplish or what they want their family to look like or feel like. And they have a set of core values, whether that's spiritually rooted, religiously rooted, or any other roots that they form and grow from. There is a set of core values that the family knows and lives by, which helps with every other aspect of life. One of our core values is that we're kind to everyone. And so when kids aren't being nice to one another, especially when they were younger, I was able to point them back to our core values and say, you just said this to your brother. Was that being kind? Oh, bummer. No, that wasn't. You're right. That wasn't a kind thing to say. And, our family mission statement, our core values say that we are above all kind to one another. And if we're not, then, we've chosen to be unkind and we've chosen to earn, this consequence and whatever that was. And that's how we handled discipline when the kids were much younger. Now they're older and it's a different situation. But when they were young, it was so nice to be able to let those core values do the work for us, because it wasn't me punishing you for being bad. It was you making the choice to go against our core values, thus choosing the consequences that we had set in place before you made the choice to be unkind or whatever it is. Now, again, discipline is a nuanced thing. And when you're raising neurodivergent kids, when you're raising gifted kids, twice exceptional kids, anxious kids, autistic kids, children with ADHD, sensory processing disorder, learning challenges or differences, discipline's going to ebb and flow. You're going to have different issues. Sometimes you'll have behavioral challenges that are related to the neurodivergencies and need to be worked on through therapies and other interventions. And so take that discipline idea with a grain of salt and as a suggestion. But that's one of the things that you can benefit from, and one of those characteristics you can see in families that are like teams, right? A family team. They also have open communication. There's active listening and honest and transparent feedback going on. So we're actively listening. We're asking questions. We're engaging in the conversation that's happening. We're listening without judgment to our kids' challenges and issues and suggestions, and expecting them to do the same. We're also honest with one another and transparent. I can do that because it's doable in this particular scenario, or unfortunately, I can't do that tomorrow because, I've got to finish this, and this, or we've already made commitments in this way. And, if we don't follow through on those commitments, then something else is going to happen as a result, and we don't want that. So we're being open, we're being honest, we're being transparent, and we're actively listening. Team-like families also have the characteristic of being mutually supportive and encouraging. They give emotional support to one another. So if someone's having a hard time, others will step in and try to help them out or take some of the slack for them. They'll also encourage and motivate one another. We have a rule in our family that everybody goes to support everybody in whatever their activity is. So that doesn't mean if somebody's on a sporting team, every single family member is at every single sporting event. It doesn't mean that if somebody's in a play, every single family member is at every single performance. But it does mean that every single family member has gone to at least one game per season, or at least one show per run. And that includes my 21-year-old. He lives here. He's still living in our home. And so he's a member of this household. And in our household, we value team, and we value connection, and we value supporting and motivating one another. And so even though he's not a huge fan of musicals, he goes to his sister's performances, at least one per run, because he's a member of this household. And as a family, we support one another. And if he had an event or something going on, we would be supportive of him. And so that's something that is a core value and a characteristic that a lot of families who are team members have. There are also defined roles and responsibilities. So this might mean that you have clearly defined chores or expectations. For example, my 11-year-old, one of his jobs is to empty the dishwasher every time it's clean. That is a clearly defined job. It is something he can do. It's something that's clearly identifiable. There is a light on our dishwasher that is on if the dishes are clean. It is something that helps move the household along, and is something that's doable for him. And so he does it. We've also just recently, and we're still in the process of figuring it all out, gone to the expectation that everybody does their own laundry, and they are assigned one day a week to do it. So that if your day is Monday and you've chosen to slack off and it's now Tuesday and somebody else is using the washing machine, your lack of clean shirts doesn't trump their ability to do laundry on their designated laundry day. You either have to ask them nicely if you could throw a shirt in with their laundry, or you need to wait till they're done, and if the washer and dryer free up before the next person's laundry day, then you can throw a load in. Otherwise, you're out of luck until your next laundry day. We're really trying that because our family has gotten very busy in the last 6 months, and I'm not able to keep up anymore. And so those roles and rules and designations are able to be adjusted as necessary. There's also accountability, though, right? That's an accountability thing. You're going to grow up and leave the house someday. And if you forget to do your laundry and you have to be somewhere and you don't have clean underwear, there's nothing you can do about it. Nobody's going to bail you out. You either have to stop at the store on your way to wherever you're going and buy a new pack, or you need to do some laundry, or you need to wear dirty underwear or none, right? Accountability is important. And we want our kids to learn it while they're home. And so having clearly defined roles and knowing that every single person is an important cog in the wheel of the moving family, and celebrate that and own that, it's important, and it keeps things going so that the family moves smoothly. Families who are teams are collaborative problem solvers. They make decisions in a joint way. So they're meeting together to talk about vacations, to plan vacations. If you're homeschooling, which most of you are if you're listening to this podcast, you're collaborating on what kinds of things you're going to be studying in the next year or what you need. Say you have a kiddo like mine who is a rising senior. We need to make sure that we're meeting on a regular basis to do the things that we need to do to have her in a position to apply for the colleges she wants to apply for next year. And well, in the fall, really, because that's when applications happen. And so we have to be collaborative about what her senior year is going to look like, what her summer before her senior year is going to look like. And my other two kids who are still homeschooling, we need to have conversations regularly about what they're thinking they want to do, what they're interested in, so that they have a say in the things that they learn about. When you're going on a vacation, when you're making decisions about how the house is going to be organized, or even what paint you're going to paint your deck. It's important to know that the family as a whole, if you're truly a team, that they should have a say in some of that because it's their home too. And so being collaborative means making joint decisions and having family meetings and resolving conflicts together in healthy ways and learning how to resolve conflicts in healthy ways. Family teams also have a deep level of respect and trust. They have a respect for individuality, different temperaments, different personalities, different interests, different fashion styles, those kinds of things. We respect who our kids are. This can be hard for a lot of us because, we have this dream of what our kids are going to be like, right? When we're carrying them or dreaming of them or planning them. But the truth is, kids are people who have their own direction and sense of style and interests and intellect and creativity. And so while we can shape their foundation with those morals and core values and vision, we have to respect their individuality. We have to respect who they are and help them be the best versions of themselves that they can be. And when we do that, we build trust. And we become trustworthy, and they in turn trust us and make it so we can trust them. And relationships become very strong because of that. Family teams are also flexible and adaptable. They can adapt routines based on who needs what at a given time. They're resilient. They can bounce back from adversity like we talked about earlier. And they have shared activities and they spend quality time together. This can be challenging as kids get older and have their own things going on, but it's no less important when kids are older than it is when they're younger. So finding regular time to spend as a family, doing things that the whole family enjoys, and making sure that happens. If your family likes playing games, play games. If your family likes roller coasters, see if you can get to an amusement park periodically. If your family likes crafting, do some crafts together. If you like hiking, go hiking. See if you can come up with some shared interests. My girls and I love theater. And so the last several years, we've gotten season tickets to the Broadway season that comes through downtown Cleveland every year. And we love that. We love our time together. And we love dressing up and sharing that interest. And, my younger son he just likes being out and going and seeing people and doing things. And so trying to make sure I take him to the zoo regularly, or my older son took his little brother to mini golf recently. He just wants to try a bunch of different things and get out there. And so, sharing those interests and spending regular time together as a family, it trickles down. I just mentioned that my oldest son, who is 21, voluntarily spent time with his 11-year-old brother. When you set up these shared interests or this collaboration as a family and this connectiveness, it bleeds over into their relationships independently of one another. I was just talking about this one example when I was teaching the masterclass about connection and about being a team as a family with my members in the Learners Lab. And if you do become a member of the Learners Lab, you have access to the archives of all of the past masterclasses, all of the past family classes, and doodling lessons and Lego clubs and things like that. So you could always go back and you could watch the replay of the Family Connection Masterclass. But one of the stories that I just recently told is my younger two, they are 11 and 14, and my oldest, 21, have been spending a lot of time at home without my 16-year-old because she's been very busy with shows. And they kind of recognize that my 21-year-old is getting closer and closer to wanting to and being ready to move out. And so they have been every single day at the end of the day watching a show together. And sometimes they do a marathon, like all of the Star Wars movies. Now they're watching through the Star Wars Clone Wars series. And they watch something different every day to continue the series together. It's bonding, it's connection, it's shared stories. It's going to give them a lifetime of these little, do you remember when we did blah, blah, blah? Do you remember when we snuck the snacks downstairs and Mom didn't know? And then I spilled it and you had to run up in the middle of the show and go get the steam cleaner and steam clean and whatever, which actually happened the other day. But they've got these shared stories and they're building these relationships with one another. And then finally, I think one of the best characteristics that you notice when you meet families who are truly a team and have a deep level of connection is that they are more empathetic and compassionate. They recognize what their family members need. They can see when somebody's hurting. They empathize with them. They support them during difficult times or situations. They celebrate achievements. They're there for each other. They're genuinely happy for one another when something goes right. And they just build this foundational sense of teamwork and support. And it's just a beautiful thing to see.
Hey there. Okay, so you've heard me talk about CTC Math for months and months, and it is because we just love it here. It has made my homeschooling easier, especially when it comes to math. I'm not a mathy person, and I never have been, but I love CTC because it makes it easy for me. And then when my kids struggle with a certain concept or they're not getting something quickly enough, I can watch the lesson too, and then I can get it. So it's teaching me really, truly, almost as much as it's teaching the kids, because if I don't get something, I can watch the tutorials. And that exact experience happened to a longtime follower, Sandy, who wrote in, "We started using CTC Math following your recommendation, Colleen. One of my sons is so dedicated." Then, after watching over his shoulder, my other son started using it too. They both do an hour each weekday, their choice. Now, side note here, CTC Math only takes about 7 to 10 minutes per lesson. My kids tend to do 1 to 2, sometimes very occasionally 3 lessons a day. So we're talking like anywhere between 15 and 40 minutes of math a day, max. But Sandy's kids are so into it that they are doing an hour a day, their choice. Okay, so Sandy says, "I even enjoy it myself. I do the lessons with them, which is a handy brush up, and will occasionally do some of the algebra lessons ahead of time. Math was not my strong suit in school, but now I love it, and I wish the program had been available in the 80s. Too many people think they're terrible at math, but I truly believe we all need a method of learning that suits us. CTC Math seems to work for all 3 of us." I asked my 13-year-old son, who's been using the program for about 18 months, what he thinks of it, and in his own words, he said he enjoys reaching mastery in a particular subject because I know that if I get a question wrong, he says, I'll have to redo all the questions until I reach mastery. That means I will have a full grasp of the subject, and that's pretty satisfying. 13-year-old, come on, like you can't beat that. Okay. FYI, Sandy says, I have the pass rate set to 90%. So parents, you can set the rate you want your kids to meet. My settings, depending on the kid, are set between 85 and 95%. I've got one kid who is a full year ahead in math, and he's really good at math, and his is set to 95%. I've got another one who's a little iffy at math, and that kiddo's level is set to 85%. So you get to do what you want to do in it, and that's amazing. Okay. She goes on to say, and finishes off this quote by saying, CTC Math is unlike any platform that's out there. And I just love it. I appreciate you, Colleen. You have a special place in my heart for everything you put into your work, and I appreciate you and all the things you share. Seriously, I'm going to keep sharing resources like CTC Math because they work. They make homeschooling easier, and they allow us to do the things that we want to do with our kids and basically take off of our plates the things we have to do with our kids. Our kids need math. Let CTC do it. Check them out at ctcmath.com. Let them know I sent you. And then if you've got a story to share, I'd love to hear it. All right, let's get back to today's episode.
So how can we do this? What are some practical things we can do within our home to make sure we're building family teams? Well, some of the things that we can do daily together. Daily, as much as possible, we can have meals together. When you are spending time eating together, preparing food together, cleaning up food together, you naturally have a chance to talk to one another. No cell phones at the table, maybe some conversation starters or some jokes, things like that, but have family meals as often as you possibly can. We don't have a lot of time right now to have daily family meals. Our family's all over the place. But at least several times a week, we either have lunch together or we have dinner together. And sometimes this means, my husband's working and he's not part of our family lunch, or somebody's at the theater and not part of our family dinner, but as many participate as possible because it's a great time to talk. And it's an easy thing to just start implementing if you're not already doing it. You can also implement some family time. Make a day a week a family night. Have a game night. Go in the pool together on a nice evening if you have a pool or a neighborhood pool. Go for a hike together. Do something as a family at least once a week, but as often as possible. And another daily thing you can do to just build some connection time or connectiveness is to have some kind of bedtime routine, some kind of thing you do each night, whether that's even just, if your kids are older, 10 minutes talking to each of them about their day. Tell me something good that happened today. Tell me something not so good. Tell me something kind of funny that happened today. Tell me the best part of your day. Some kind of conversation time. When they're little, you've got like bath and book time. Have a snack together before you guys all disperse to your rooms. Whatever it is, build in some time for a wind down at the end of the day. You can also improve your communication techniques. This is a very practical thing that you can implement that helps you develop that team-like atmosphere. Active listening means that you're hearing what people are saying as much as possible. And I know this isn't easy for all kids, especially neurodivergent children. Whenever possible, look whomever you're talking with in the eye, listen with your whole body, repeat back to them what they're saying, ask clarifying questions, engage with them, empathize with them, and really, truly hear. Don't form your own opinion right away. Be neutral, be supportive, and really, really listen. Also have open conversations. Be willing to hear and be non-judgmental, and be willing to share your opinion and get your opinion shut down if necessary. And teach and model this for your kids too so they can do the same. Have family meetings. Meet regularly to talk about anything that's going wrong, anything that they feel needs improvement, anything they're struggling with, anything that's coming up that's fun and you want them to help plan. But try to have regular family meetings where you touch base. You can also, I actually think this next one is one of those things that we get busy as parents, especially homeschooling parents, and we overlook the importance of it. But it is actually quite simple and probably one of the most important things you could do. Express love and affection often and overtly. I've said before on this podcast, in speaking live, and just in everyday conversation, if you're not bragging about your kids, nobody is doing it. If you're not telling your kids that you love them and they're great people, nobody's doing that. And they're feeling like they're not. There is no harm in shouting out to the world that your kid is the best person ever in your opinion, and that you're so proud of them, and that they did this amazing thing and that amazing thing, and they said this cool thing. There's nothing wrong with that, because if you're not doing it, they're not hearing it from anybody. It is literally your job to build your child up. And here's the cool thing about that. The more you're building your child up, the more they feel that and see that modeled for them, and the more they start building others up. I'm going to give you a couple examples. I talk about my kids all the time. I tell them I love them. I tell them I'm proud of them. my computer for a video call not that long ago, and I came in after she was done to get some work done, and she had been doodling, on my sticky notes and my notepads while she was working, and one of the sticky notes that was stuck smack dab in the middle of my computer said, "I am proud of you, Mom. Love, Molly." Now, kids do things like that. They tell you they love you, right? But words very specific like that with a note left come from modeling. I do that for my kids all the time. I slip notes in. For my daughter's opening night, I slipped a note in her bag with a little picture of Ursula. She just recently played Ursula in Disney's The Little Mermaid. And when you do those kinds of things, words of affirmation, notes, things like that, to and around your kids, they'll do that back. Give them verbal affirmations, talk about them within their hearing in a positive way, give them physical affection, hug them, squeeze them, rub their back, whatever their love language is. Celebrate their achievements. Tell them how great they are and how proud you are of them. Tell them that you're proud of them for doing the best that they could in a situation, even if it wasn't perfect, because perfection doesn't exist. And then model for them you doing that kind of expressing of love and affirmation to others as well. There was a time when Molly and I were going out to eat a lot because, unfortunately and expensively, one of her shows was far away, and she was a lead, so she was called a lot. And with other activities, we just really didn't have time to eat at home. And sometimes logistically, it was just not possible to pack food all of the time. And so a few times a week, we would grab something to eat at a restaurant, and usually a small pizza place or whatever. But we made a game of really watching our servers and watching people and talking about what we were observing and empathizing and validating and making sure we were giving compliments. And we always try to tip well. But we made a game out of, at least a couple times a month, choosing one of those servers that looked like they needed something more, a smile, just a pickup from a hard day, and we would give them a significant tip. And we would make sure for that particular situation that we would leave as quickly as we could after we wrote that tip or left the tip, so that they weren't chasing after us to thank us. We wanted it to be not about us, about them. And then we would watch their reaction, secretly, from across the parking lot or whatever. And it was so gratifying to see how much they smiled and how great they felt. I also, especially when I'm with my girls, because they can be really brutal to themselves and about themselves and how they look, I try to compliment somebody almost every time I'm out. If we're shopping, I try to notice something positive about the clerk who's checking us out or somebody we're walking by. I will compliment hair, eye color, a clothing choice, something that they're doing or saying. And I've noticed that my teen daughters have started doing this and are complimenting other teen girls and noticing the lift it gives the person that they've given a compliment to. And so while you're modeling by expressing love and affection to them, and then maybe others around you, they're picking that up too. And they're going to mirror it back to you, and they're going to mirror it to others around them. You're building up strong social skills, emotional skills, which are the foundation for strong relationships later. Another thing that you can do very tangibly in your home is build trust and respect. Be consistent, be reliable, have your expectations and stick with them. If you expect your kids to do their own laundry, make sure they're doing their laundry and you're not bailing them out. If you are always the one who's doing laundry, don't lose your mind because they didn't pitch in one day. You have to set them up for success and set the expectations and be consistent. And then you have to be reliable with how you react. There's nothing worse, right, than not knowing the parent you're going to get on a given day. And sometimes this happens. I mean, there are days there are weeks I'm exhausted and I just don't have it in me to really control my reactions to things. And that's hard on our kids. And so as much as possible, we want to be reliable and consistent in our behavior and our communication so that they can trust and respect us. There is no quicker way to lose the respect of your children than by losing your temper for what feels to them like no reason, especially when it's over things that either A, are out of their control, or B, something that you never got mad about before. We need to be consistent with our kids so that they know that we are reliable. We need to speak with them respectfully, and we need to expect them to speak to each other respectfully. Modeling respectful communication and expecting it in return is important. Again, this isn't always feasible when you're raising neurodivergent kids, but it is something to strive for because our neurodivergent kids still need to live in society. They need to live with other people. And just because I'm feeling crabby or I'm having trouble controlling my emotions and regulating the way I speak does not mean you shouldn't feel hurt about the way I'm speaking to you. I'm still speaking to you in a disrespectful tone. I need to own that. So our neurodivergent kids need to be able to be kind to others as well, because like we talked about in a previous podcast, my rights stop when somebody else's rights start and vice versa. We need to be respectful of each other's rights, and no one person's rights are more important than another's, and we all deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. And so respectful communication is something important to be modeled and expected from our kids. And then in turn, we need to be respectful towards them and apologize if we lose our patience, lose our temper, or speak to them disrespectfully so that they know how to react when they're not speaking respectfully to somebody. They need to know that it is okay sometimes to lose your patience and your temper, that we all do it. But what's most important is how we handle it. And we handle it by apologizing and changing our behavior as much as possible the next time. And this in turn will do the next thing that's super tangible that we can do is create a safe space for our family. And so when we're respectfully communicating and we're being consistent and reliable, and we've built this trust and respect, our home is a safe place. Our children know that they can come back to us at any time in their life, whether they are 16, 26, 36, 46, whatever. They have a safe space in our home. We are a safe space for them. They can come to us whatever it is they need because we have a mutual respect and a team-like feeling towards one another. To encourage that teamwork tangibly, some of the things that we can do are family projects. We can garden together, plan and create a family garden, do home improvement projects. We're in the process of finishing our deck, so we'll be, staining it or painting it. Families can plan vacations together. They can plan little pop-up trips, whatever. These are things that you can do as a family to build that teamwork. You also encourage teamwork by sharing responsibilities. That includes household chores, pet care, cooking, cleaning, even grocery shopping. But sharing the responsibilities within a family, it's important to cultivate that team-like atmosphere because everybody should have a say, right? Everybody should be a part of it. You can also engage in problem-solving behaviors. Like I said earlier, have those family meetings to discuss plans, address issues, make decisions collaboratively, and making sure every family member is able to voice their opinions and participate in finding solutions. You can use conflict resolution exercises, teach that, but you can also do some fun things like go to an escape room as a family. Like learn how to solve problems together, puzzles. Go for a walk and get turned around and let your kids help you use a compass or your GPS to find your way out. Go geocaching and solve the problem of finding the coordinates and getting to where you're supposed to be going. Make sure that you are balanced and flexible within your family too. This is going to be one of those things that's going to really facilitate building that team. When you are balanced and also flexible. So let me explain this flip side to this. So first of all, I want to kind of caveat this with there is no such thing as balance. There is none. Everybody who tries to tell you that you can be a balanced mom is like completely lying to you. There's no way to be completely balanced because something's always going to be out of whack. Sometimes your kids are going to need you more than anything else, and the house is going to go to shambles around you. It's going to be a disaster area. Sometimes you or your spouse are going to be struggling with something, and the other parent is going to need to pick up all the slack. Sometimes you're just so busy, you're never home, and you're not getting your schoolwork done, and you need to do a couple extra weeks in the summertime. Balance is a myth. All you can do is keep the most important balls in the air at any given time. And really, you can do two things well. There's this pyramid diagram I've come across before in many parenting books and family blogs and things like that, where you've got especially homeschooling, you've got the homeschool and you've got the house stuff, and then you've got the cooking, right? So you've got meals, healthy meals, you've got, keeping track of the house and keeping everything clean, and then you've got your homeschooling. You can do two of those things really well at any given time. You can have a killer homeschool and keep the house relatively picked up. But if you're doing those two things really, really well, you are not making a whole bunch of meals from scratch. If you're making meals from scratch completely and totally, and you're keeping your house immaculate, your homeschooling is probably a dial-in thing, right? And if you're making really good meals for 3 meals a day plus snacks or whatever, and you're homeschooling really well, you probably have projects and craft supplies all over the place. You can't do it all. So you need to understand that kind of balance doesn't exist. But here's the kind of balance I'm really talking about. You need to balance for yourself. You need to balance and you need to model this for your kids. You need to balance the family time and the personal time. Every one of us is an individual. Every one of us needs something for ourselves as well. And so you need to be able to say, hey, I love you so much and I really want to talk to you about this right now, but I just need an hour to myself. I'm going to go in my office, or I'm going to go in the family room, or I'm going to go up to my bedroom and I'm going to shut the door and I'm going to put my AirPods in and I'm going to listen to an audiobook for an hour. When I come back, let's play a game and reconnect. You have to take the time you need when you need it. And if that means because your kids are younger or because your kids are neurodivergent in a way that they can't be left alone, that you're taking the first half an hour when your spouse gets home from work or whatever it is, then do it. There were times when my kids were younger that I would meet my husband in the driveway and I would say, okay, dinner's in the oven. It'll be ready in 10 minutes. This person needs this. This person needs this. They need to be in bed by 9 o'clock. I am going to Panera and I'm going to eat some soup and I'm going to work a little bit, or I'm going to read my book, and I will be back after they're in bed. Text me. And I left because I needed the break, or I was going to break. So you need to have that balance between your personal time and your family time, but you need to be adaptable because sometimes it's just not possible to separate it. Last week, as of this recording time, last week was insane. It was insane. I couldn't balance anything, let alone personal/family time. My husband was out of town for work. It was tech week for my daughter's show. My daughter's show was an hour away. It was the week my other daughter started her shifts it was the second or third week that my son had vision therapy, because my youngest has started vision therapy, which is something I should talk about at some point. It's fascinating, actually. And I had to get everybody everywhere. On one of the days last week, I was either in the car or helping to facilitate a rehearsal for 14 hours. I left my house at 8:40 in the morning to take the first child to the thing that they needed to be at, to go home, scoop up the next two, go to vision therapy, followed by vocal lessons, followed by running the vision therapy kid home after dropping the kid off at vocal lessons, and then going back to pick that one up at vocal lessons while my oldest picked up my other kiddo at the zoo when that shift was done. And then I took the kid from vocal lessons to get something to eat for lunch, and then a takeout salad to bring for dinner at the rehearsal. And then I went to the rehearsal, and it was a 4-hour rehearsal, and I worked because they needed a volunteer that night and there was nobody else, and I was already driving an hour to be there, so I might as well just stay. And I left my house initially, like I said, at 8:40 a.m., and my daughter and I got home from rehearsal at 11:46 p.m. It was a long day. Those are days and weeks that you can't balance. the personal time. Like I fell into bed. That was my personal time. That's okay. We need to be flexible and adaptable and know that sometimes it's a little bit off balance, but we need to show our kids that, okay, let's get back in balance. And so after that whole week and after the weekend of shows, I talked to my one daughter who had an appointment on Monday morning, and I said, this was Sunday night. We had a discussion. How badly do you want to make that appointment? If you really want to make that appointment, we can go. But we have to get up by this time and be on the road by this time. Otherwise, I can reschedule it. And she agreed with me that we both needed a break, and we rescheduled it. And so sometimes you need to be flexible and adaptable, and you need to develop the coping strategies so that you can get through those very busy times and then take the time to give yourself a break when you are able to do it. So building a family team has these long-ranging benefits: the social, the emotional, the resilient, the developmental, and just that lifelong bond that you form and help your children form. And it's not hard to start doing. It's not hard to start implementing more connection time and a more team-like, empathetic, and supportive atmosphere. It just takes consistency, reliability, and mutual respect and trust. You can do this. This is something that you can do right now. You could go choose one thing on this list, have a family meal, have an open conversation, work on active listening, do some problem-solving exercises, go to an escape room, go on a hike. You could do anything like right now and start building a stronger connection, and then use your time to talk about the things you love about each other so that you start to form that foundation of being a team. Leave notes around, because who knows when you're going to find notes left back for you. These are things we can all do, and the benefits are so worth it. I promise you. I am now a mom of a 21, 16, 14, and 11-year-old, and I'm seeing those benefits of all of the years I've put in working to build our team-like atmosphere as a family, that connection and that collaboration. I find notes, I find pictures, I get hugs, and I see them forming the relationships and facilitating the connections that are going to last throughout their lives long after I'm gone. I'm seeing the legacy start to take place. You can too. You've got this. Okay, here's what I would love. Before I sign off and, give you a teaser about next week and all of that, I would love it if you would go to the show notes for this episode. It's at raisinglifelonglearners.com/podcast, and go to the bottom of the post and click on the leave a message widget at the bottom, or go to the contact form on the website, because you can write in there if you'd rather write than talk, or you can leave a voicemail on the contact page as well. Tell me how you facilitate building a team-like atmosphere in your family. How do you form connection? What are your favorite things to do as a family to be more connected? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I would also love it if you tell me what are you going to do now? What's the next thing you're going to do to build a stronger connection with your family? So tell me those two things. You can email me, support@raisinglifelonglearners.com, or you can go to the contact page or the show notes, and you can find ways to get in touch with me there. But I would love, love, love to hear it. All right. We're going to be back next week, same time, same place, with a great episode. Actually, it was a great interview. I'm super excited to share it with you. I've got some really fun topics coming up. And actually, my daughter, my 16-year-old, just pitched a topic that she wants to come on the podcast to talk about. So that's going to be super fun. I don't know when we're going to get that recorded, but it's a really, really great topic. So I'm looking forward to that. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. You take the time to listen. There's so many other podcasts out there that you could listen to, but you chose to spend your time with me, and I appreciate you. I appreciate CTC Math, our sponsor for this episode, and all of their support. It's just I'm so grateful that they pour into the homeschool community like they do. So check them out at ctcmath.com. Also, my book, The Homeschool Advantage, A Child-Focused Approach to Raising Lifelong Learners, is coming out next month from Wiley Publishers. Wiley is a publisher that has been around for years and years and years, like hundreds of years. And their imprint, Jossie Bass, publishes a lot of parenting and education books. And so The Homeschool Advantage is being published by that imprint. I'm really excited. Watch the website because we'll have some pre-order bonuses up really, really soon within the next week or two. But you can order the book now for pre-sale. Pre-sales help authors tremendously. They let bookstores and libraries know that this is a book they should stock. And so do reviews. So when you get the book, when the book is released in July, and I'll remind you when we get closer to that, leaving a review on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any book retailer really, really helps. It helps the algorithm. It helps the sales information. And so I'd love it if you'd pre-order the book. Hang on to your receipt if you do, whether it's through Amazon or Barnes & Noble or any other bookstore online. You can get it anywhere books are sold. It's a traditional publisher that will be anywhere. But hang on to your digital receipt because within the next week or so, we'll have a whole slew of really fun pre-order bonuses that you'll just need to go to the form that is being created and punch in the number on your order number on your receipt, and then it'll deliver the pre-order bonuses to you. They're going to be great. So I cannot wait for you to get your hands on this book. It's going to be so fun. It's a huge passion project for me. I'm so proud of how it turned out. And again, can't wait for you to read it. So stay tuned. That's coming. And then in the meantime, love on your kids. Connect with them. Spend some time with them. Enjoy them. You have got this. You are a great parent raising phenomenal children. I can't wait to see all that they do, and I'm so proud of you. Be proud of yourself. Have a great week. I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.